My bad. There we go. Hello everyone. Welcome back to the Dragon's Arcade. If I start coughing randomly, it's because I have a bit of a cough. I think it's allergies. Because I don't have a fever or anything, but I've been coughing and having a runny nose. So, if that happens, I apologize for the sonic boom that is my sneeze. Anyhow, we are back with, well, Ninja Gaiden. Hello, Code and Assembly. Don't worry, I took some Delsum. I should be fine. Got a cough drop. You know, the usual. Do cough drops work on dragons? I'm in human for it at the moment, so I'm not sure. I'm assuming there's an equivalent. God, the dragons getting sick is just the worst, though. You got fire everywhere. Anyway, I actually went ahead and did like a whole level on my own and got us right to the boss. So, I went ahead and did this. Got here from the last time where we went to go ahead and work with the Demon Hunter lady. And she went to Ryo's old village, and I stocked up on healing potions because I had like a bunch of unspent essence from her after I did one of the challenges. I did like one of the endurance challenges too, so apparently there are a few more of those. What? Wait, I stopped here because I thought it was a boss fight. Is this not a boss fight? Okay, it is a boss fight, okay. Oh. Uh-oh. Okay. Are these like the two demon primordial ladies? Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Oh, okay. I'm actually doing pretty well in this level, and now I'm dying. What the frick? Holy frick. I can't even... Alright, you know what? Magic. Take this. Haha. Oh my god. Oh, but what the frick was that? Okay, that boss fight's gonna be a pain in the... Oh! It was a supposed to lose fight. Okay. You know, with the Ninja Gaiden, I actually couldn't tell. I actually couldn't tell if this was a supposed to lose fight or not. Because Ninja Gaiden has been so blatantly unfair that this just seemed like normal. When a game is so difficult that it gives you a supposed to lose fight and you don't realize it until the cutscene plays. It's not even like the Dark Souls supposed to lose fights, because usually that happens at the beginning, right? It happens at like the very beginning of a of something. But this was like, no, we're gonna hop right up here, right at the very, very end. Although it appears as though Ryu defeated Doku, his vengeance is still incomplete. The Dark Dragon is in the hands of the Holy Vigor Emperor. Vigor Emperor. God, I sound like the fucking deceiver. From Texas Beach. What will Rachel become of Rachel and her sister? Anyhow, so, how have you been? Ooh, Kitetsu, a new weapon. How have you been, Assembly? I know we talked a bit last night. Started working on one of my Trackmania maps yesterday. Oh, how is it going? How is it going? Feeds on the souls of those he slays. Ooh, evil demon blade. Oh, it has the weird, it has like the Zuko thing where you can split it in two. That's kind of cool. What kind of, how's the maps going then? How's that going? Do you have anything crazy, or is it just going to be kind of like a fundamentals map? Oh, let's go ahead and save. Save immediately. Thank you. Okay, so we can go down to the water now. I've been working on, you know, my outlines for like what I want to do for the maps for our next session. It's going to be your big quest line, your big teleportation experiment, which will lead to you, you know, eventually getting the teleporter down for reals. Depending on how things go, if you don't get to tier 6, by the way, by the time we reach it, I'm gonna just have you and Matt take the tier 6 feat. If you guys don't reach tier 6 by the time the final quest comes out, because I'd like you guys to be able to use your stuff for that. My Bronco 03, trying to throw yourself off. Okay, okay. Oh, I have like no money left. Not enough to upgrade. Okay, so where do I go from here? I guess I can head back up? I had an off-road and sausage elements in this one. I have no idea what a sausage element is. I think I get off-road, because I played, you know, Mario Kart. I know the basics of that. But I'm not sure what a sausage element is. Oh. Hey, mister. Don't be like that. Oh. Okay, wow, they really are spamming those goddamn explosive things, huh? Oh my. Holy shit! They are like spam clicking those explosives. This should mirror. These guys have gotten deadlier. Oh, I like this thing. Demon Blade be nice. All right. All right, we're gonna cancel. Wait. What does the note say? On the last page, there's another scribbled note. My save has been temporary yet again. I have no choice but to change the number once again. I was using my granddaughter's birthday. Yes, I think that's right. No one will bring my save. Left, right. Left, right. Think of it like a flat road, then imagine the road bulging in the middle like you're driving along the length of a sausage. Oh, okay, I think I have seen that before in some games. Alright, come on. Oh, I gotta cancel. Do it again. Alright, so left, and then we go right. There we go. Got it. Jewel of the Demon. You're stealing demon jewels in a church. It's a bit weird, bud. Although there is clearly like some like demon cultist stuff going on here. Alright, we can increase the power of a Nimpo technique. I think I'm gonna increase... the lightning ability does seem pretty sweet. I think I'll hold on to it for now. I'll see which one I want to upgrade later. Okay, I think I have seen those before, though. Okay, interesting. You know, I do like that you're very into racing games, because I know nothing about racing games, so I can use you as a frame of reference to learn shit. Alrighty here. But yeah, I'm gonna try and get those maps together so we can start the next part of the session, and then my plan is after that to do another session from the book that'll connect to the one you guys did earlier, and then to work on one for Lewis's session so I can get something together for him. Oh my, these guys are just spamming that like freaking. Oh my, these guys are really just spamming those freaking explosive notes, huh? Not into them, just this, like, this one and Nitronic Rush. I will say Nitronic Rush is a fun game, though. It's like a fucking rhythm game. You know, I really should do some more rhythm games on stream. The main one I'd want to do, though, is Beat Saber. And doing that on stream seems like it would take a lot of effort. Like, I know you can stream Beat Saber. I could even probably get this avatar into Beat Saber, although that would be a pain in the ass in a lot of other ways. But I probably could do it, because this is a VRM, you know, chat form. Like, there are guides to that. It's just setting up that whole thing. And if I did that, I'd want to do, like, full body sensor, and I just don't have a space for that at the moment. Like, a big room where I could do that. Yeah, I don't know. The more I think about doing Beat Saber, it's like, even if I did just want to have my face recorded, because Beat Saber has you moving around so much, I would need to either, like, get a quest, so I could do face tracking from the quest, right? Or I would need to do something else. There are other, I guess, rhythm games I could do, though, which are fun. Like Thumper or whatever. But I don't know. I feel like if I want to do a rhythm game, I either want to do Guitar Hero or I want to do Beat Saber. And oh god, my wing. And I'd want to do Beat Saber because Guitar Hero is just going to be a copyright nightmare. Oh god, just imagine the claims from the music companies. That's why I would weirdly do mostly either Nintendo music or anime. Okay, this is something I've been like bugged by for years. I'm sorry, I'm going to reset this real quick. So one of the things I've noticed is that Kirby Air Ride music is super popular. I found that out when I first started doing my channel, back when I was doing it as like a podcast kind of thing. God, that was such a fucking mess back in the day. And one of the things I've noticed is Nintendo, despite being a Japanese company that, oh, hello, Nerdo Dragon. Despite Nintendo being a Japanese company who's very litigious about their intellectual property, they will not sue people for using Nintendo game music. And I have no fucking clue why. Because it can't be that they don't know people are using it. Like, the copyright ID goes off so easily on YouTube, right? Like, it takes no effort to stop people from using music on YouTube. It takes literally no effort. Even games that have music, or even licensed music, even games that have music that is not inherently licensed can sometimes get copyright claims, right? So it's not even just about licensing music. Like, video game companies can be protected with their own soundtracks. They can just be, you know, dismissive towards, like, streamers sometimes, but Kirby Air Ride is used in regular goddamn videos. By the way, I finished that section. By the way, Nerdo, I finished that section. I got the Kitetsu. I like Demon Sword that splits in half. I like that it's like a Zuko sword. I know there's an actual name for this sword. Whoa, what the frick are these guys? Is that the Spider Clan? Taking their name a bit literally, aren't they? Yes! Aha! Gotcha. I have like no healing potions and I didn't have a ton of money. Should I go back? I should go back and buy at least a few healing potions because I'm really low on health. Oof. But yeah, I got the Supposed to Lose site. Where's your Pride Month server? Channel logos, TDL. Seriously, all the draconic places I've entered. It's impossible to annoy in this region. It's kind of annoying. I don't mind it. It's a lot of art assets I'd have to draw. And I have not even updated my channel banner page, which I really, really need to do, by the way, in like a long time. So, if I was gonna make new art for the channel, it would just be like general art. I do support, you know, all that stuff, like cool everybody, but I do not have the time to draw a bunch of logos for Pride Month, unfortunately. I've not drawn a bunch of them. I think it's fine. Like, rainbow, look, adding more color to the world has never hurt anything, in my opinion. We could use it. There's so much fucking black and white and monotone bullshit. Arrow Ace Pride here, I suppose. Probably. Again, I just don't see it as much of like a identifiable thing. Like, yeah, I'm just not really interested in it. In getting together with other people. It's not a huge part of me, though, for the most part. Oof. Do-do-do. Also, I feel like people who were just not into romance have been, like, more of a thing, I guess. It's just like, I don't know. I get the idea that people expect you to get married. Like, I've had some people ask, oh, when are you gonna meet somebody? It's like, not really interested in that. Just not at all. Too many other things to do in life, honestly. Like, I have friends. I have great friends. The Nerdo Dragon, you're a pretty cool online friend, but I have actual friends from high school I'm still in contact with. I have people at work I spend a bit of time with, talking, chatting. I have people at the card shop who I know. You know, I used to think of myself as antisocial, but Code and Assembly has, like, gradually moved me onto the idea that I may be a bit of a social introvert. Weird for me, because I've been around a bunch of people who are very extrovertedly social, and, it's made me reconsider how I define that, but we will see. What the fuck is with these guys? What is happening to the Vigor army? They're all turning into demons. I mean, I know their emperor is like fueled by demonic magics or whatever, but this is a bit on the nose, guys. Bit on the nose. Also, they're not freaking dying. Okay, these things seem like slow and not really dangerous, but now they're not freaking dying. Huh, that's not great. If they don't know what they're about. It does? Then again, I kind of get that. I kind of get that. They don't have any instinct pointing them towards it. See, I haven't really had that problem per se. Like, I've had people suggest that I should go do that, but I don't know. I've always been a bit weird with that, because I kind of eschewed most social expectations pretty early on. I just decided, I'm just going to do what I feel like doing, not what society would expect me to. Also, wow, these things are just not dying. I'm going to leave them alone. They're not really dying. So I get that that could probably be frustrating, is when you're like, you think you need to do something, but you don't have any desire to do it. Because I definitely have the desire not to do it, I just also have never really cared much about the social obligations around it, but I get other people do. Some people grew up a bit more conformist. Well, also, like, it's also just like a social expectation. Like, even I have that to an extent, right? Like, even I have people who are, like, you know, wondering, hey, are you ever going to get married? And don't seem to get when I say I'm not, that I'm actually, you know, just not. That's just not happening. But also, again, like you said, I grew up, you know, very unconformist. I stopped doing stuff like that from a very early age. And decided I was just gonna see where life took me, you know? And then I was just like, cool, it makes me happy. To be fair, though, I do get it. If you expect your life to go a certain way, and then you decide, and then you realize later that, oh no, I can't really, you know, I don't really have any desire to do this. Why is it not making me happy? It's making me happy doing all the other milestones. Because that could be also a thing, right? Like, if you're... Because, you know, I'm a bunch of other things, too. Like, I'm on the autistic spectrum. I'm ADHD. So, there's also that to consider, right? Like... Not everyone who's going to do this is going to be as mentally... much of a mental oddball, so to speak. As I call myself somewhat derogatorily, but also in good humor. I'm the same way, not only when it came to that, never cared for any social obligations. I like refining myself as a person, solidarity, growing, getting wiser, the dragon way, you know? Indeed. Just being a better person in general, for myself. Yeah. Yeah, I get that. Well, and for me, there's just so many other things life can explore. I'll be honest, a bit of me when I was younger was like thinking, not when I was like super young, because I didn't really think about it then. It was even kind of like, oh yeah, eventually I imagine I will probably have a girlfriend. That didn't last long, but even once I stopped thinking that, I was, it took me a while before I realized I just didn't even want to get married at all. Like, I didn't want to have kids, I didn't want to do any of that. I think it was probably when I was in my teens, sometime between when I was 12 or 16 when I really decided on it. I think I probably just pretty much decided I was probably not going to get married by 14. Oh, frick. You know, the enemies have really, like, gone up a level here. The Spider Clan got frickin' wrecked. Oh, no, these aren't Spider Clan act. Oh, shoot. No, I do not want to abandon the way of ninja. No. Yeah. Again, I just don't really think about it that much. Like, the whole point for me is that I think about other stuff. I'm focused on other things in life. And so it doesn't really come up as much of a thing for me. I will admit, I've thought about it a bit more recently, just because I've had, like, my brother and my cousin have gotten married. So, it's, you know, it's been something that's been on the mind, so to speak. Alright, shit. I'm really low on health. Alright, got him. Alright, we need to get to this save point without frickin' dying. Wait, I'm not a save point. I'm different save point. Oh shit, now they're gonna respawn. God damn it. Alright, got him. Being an uncle is also fun. Yeah, see, that's also the other thing. I have a brother, and so I can essentially, like, be an uncle to a kid without having to commit to parenting. Which is, I guess, it's also a bit cheaty. If you're an only child, it might be a bit harder, like, socially, right? Because parents are probably going to want grandkids. It can also just be good for a social reason too, right? Like, because family is kind of there. So if you have somebody younger than you who's assumedly going to outlive you, right? You're kind of as cynical as it could be, as cynical as this might sound. You can kind of guarantee you're going to have somebody in your life, right? That'll be there for you if you need them. Like, if you need to go to a retirement home because you're just not mentally well at a certain age, you have someone who can manage all that for you. Filter social. Must be the right people. I don't get anxiety unless there's place to reason, or perhaps even the right people being to interact. Then it's even pleasant. See, for me, it's two things. For me, it's three things for me. It's a mixture of these three things. It's people I'm unfamiliar with, who I'm expected to interact with. So if I'm in an area that has a lot of people, has people I am expected to interact with that I don't know about, elder care is expensive. I need someone younger to help me out. Well, even if you have the money, because, like, for example, my grandparents both went into elderly care. Both my grandmothers, on both my mom and my dad's side. And they had the money for the most part. Like, both of them had saved up stuff, and they had enough money for retirement and for the care. But just because you have the money doesn't mean you are capable of making decisions. For my grandmother, on my dad's side, she didn't really want to go into a care home. They kind of had to convince her after she had an accident in her house after my step-grandfather, I think that's how you'd say that, right? He was grandfather-in-law, died because he had remarried later on. And she had died and she had been alone, and then she had an accident, and so my dad and his brother and his sister all convinced her, hey, look, you need to be in home. You need to be somewhere where people can check in on you. My grandmother on my mom's side was a bit different. She was starting to lose it mentally a lot, so they had to, like, do that. But they had the money, right? They had, like, a financial ability to do stuff.
You're still open?
But having those younger people there to set up a home and to make sure it's near them, and so they can come visit, you know, get you out of the place every once in a while, take you out to go places, do things, check on you. There is a stability in that, and having a kid does offer a sort of, like, you know, stability to an extent.
This is a fine example.
Well, Assembly and TDL, you see myself so I still believe this. There is a schism to those expectations involved. It's not even that I'm antisocial, but it must be the right people. I don't get anxiety unless there's a place, to reason, or perhaps even the right peoples to interact. And even then, it's pleasant. Then it's even pleasant. Yeah, like if you're interacting with the right people, you don't even notice it. For me, it's mostly about who I'm expected to interact with and what the expectations. What cynicism. I expect to live a long life.
The Dark Dragon?
Oh, this is this the blacksmith from all of the freaking stores?
Stand from west. Now, if only we can find
the dragon's eye. I'm gonna buy a few of these. I'm hoping I live a long life. I'm trying to exercise more too. I'm not obese or anything, but I am a little overweight, and I would like to get less overweight. Not even because of appearance, just because I would like to be healthier long term. Thank you. Sorry, I'm a bit sick. I mentioned that a bit earlier, but I am a little bit sick. Just a little. Oh look, I dispelled the demons just by walking out of a store. Oh. Alright, let's move forward. You know, I will say that I thought this game was going to go to a lot more places, but it does backtrack quite a bit. Not as a bad thing or anything, like I played plenty of games of backtrack. I love the Metroidvania genre, and that's basically that whole genre's premise. God damn those stupid grappling moves. These demons really are getting annoying. The those are like the guard officers with the stun batons, and now they're grotesque demon monster. I thought there was a spider clan at first, so like they were actually turning into spiders, you know? But all the Vigor guards are just like turning into abominations. Like, I guess that's what happens when you have an immortal demon emperor, right? He eventually turns you into an immortal demon servants. You know, I'm reminded of that part of the Dragon Prince that when it was actually good. Look, I'm gonna watch the new Dragon Prince stuff when it comes out, but I was disappointed in the ending. I was severely disappointed in the end of the Dragon Prince. I think it's why I didn't talk about it that much, because, like, I'm not much of a negative channel. And when a show disappoints me so thoroughly as the Dragon Prince, I don't want to talk about it. One of these days, I'm gonna have a conversation about Season 3. Season 3 of the Dragon Prince was peak animated television. The Dragon Prince had this, like, very bell curve existence, right? It is set near the palace of Zarkon. The waterfall, there is an entrance to the cave rumored to have a connect to the greatest text of Zarkon. General, new generation thingy, probably got at least a little bit of cynicism. We got pride flags everywhere, arguing social constructs way beyond, and quite safer from, and quite far from? Far from? Alright, so we need to go down the waterfall, right? Ryu has not found a map to this area. Yeah. Well, again, I'm not really gonna judge new generations just for being new generations. Mostly because that would be very fucking hypocritical. And I try not to be a hypocrite if at all possible. I don't say I'm not a hypocrite because, like, everyone does hypocritical things from time to time. It's almost impossible to not be a little bit of a hypocrite, right? Because, for example, I am very much an eco-friendly kind of person. I think we should be investing in very eco-friendly things, but I still run a computer and a server that I don't strictly need, right? I don't live in the middle of nowhere as an aesthetic lifestyle trying to reduce any amount of electricity use I can have. I believe that I also enjoy using technology, even though I do also believe in an eco-friendly world. Those are inherently contradictory to an extent, although they don't have to be at the moment they are. But I do try to not be hypocritical about things. So, I'm not judging generations. I'm judging the moment-to-moment ideas and challenging them from various angles. That's true. That's a fair point. You should... I get a little touchy because I'm like, I'm not really sure I want to make any snap decisions about what new generations are thinking about doing or their current interest or whatever, because I've been on the other side of that coin very strongly and often. Actually, one of the reasons I think that a lot of, and this is like a personal thing I've started wondering, is because a lot of generations, like, right, have their rebellion against their previous generation. That's a pretty common theme. It doesn't always happen. It's not for everyone in a generation, because generations are not monoliths in general, but, you know, most generations have had their, like, rebellious phase, so to speak, at least from a, like, news perspective, right? Like, the narrative, the media narrative of generations. But they always get to a point where they're comfortable, and they're no longer challenging those ideas, and then they become the ones challenged against. And I've always wondered, a part of me at least, has always wondered if it happens because they stop being in a position, right, where their ideas are challenged. So, like, for example, the Flower Child generation either eventually got to a place where they thought they were, you know, happy with the world, or they didn't. And the vast majority of them got to a comfortable lifestyle. And they were like, we don't really need to do anything to keep up this, and we're good, personally. And so they didn't really run into any issues for the most part. And so they just were like, yeah, the world's fine, the status quo's fine. And then, like, new people come out and try to go, instead of thinking about how they did the same thing, and looking at it from their perspective maybe, they're like, how dare you disrupt the status quo we built? And it's like, this is discussed in the Pope's encyclical. Oh, cool. I've been meaning to read that. I have that penciled in to read on Wednesday. I've been a bit busy at work. I had like a big deployment yesterday, and today I had like a bunch of smaller things. My computer got reset, as I mentioned, and it's been running extremely slow ever since. But no, I'm gonna probably read that. God, I really need to read through the whole thing, because I've read a bit of it. Right, I read a tiny bit, but not the whole bit, not the whole thing. I read his AI section, mostly because that seemed like something that was like very relevant to me. But I do want to read it so I can discuss with you, at least a bit. A big part of the Catholic Church. I mean, as it should be. Like, it's always struck me as weird that Catholicism. I know that, like, you know, individual people don't speak for religions, right? But it's always struck me as weird that the religion that was like the guy who hung out with the poor and with prostitutes and with beggars and gave away food tends to like so often result in people who do not really want to do those things. But the Catholic Church has always been pretty big on those like very, very, you know, charitable deeds, so to speak. At least in the recent years. Although historically they've been all over the goddamn place. Personally, I love Pope Wars. Every once in a while, an anti-pope would happen, and shit would just get real. Okay, I'm trying to figure out where the hell I need to go. I know I need to go to that waterfall, but I'm not sure where the waterfall is. It is nice seeing them like take some stances, though. I blame the Baptists and cradle Catholics like my father. Yeah. Like, it's weird. I don't, like, Old Testament aside, because Old Testament has a bunch of weird shit. It's actually, the Old Testament is like well, okay, this is a weird text. The Old Testament, ever since I have, like, read up on, like, other mythology now, you know, I read a lot of different mythology. The Old Testament feels more like Roman or Greek mythology in a lot of ways. You know, there's fucking big acts of magic and shit. But Catholicism and Christianity is supposed to be about the New Testament, right? They're more about the Jesus stuff. So, yeah, people who know nothing of their religion. Yeah, like, I don't really mind most of the New Testament's, like, ideas. Not all of them, obviously. It's an ancient book, and no book written 2,000 years ago is gonna be a great guiding principle, in my opinion, for people born, you know, 2,000 years from its creation date. Ideas, cultural norms, they just inherently drift. But the core concept of, like, being kind and charitable and not being a dick, you know, that seems like pretty good ideas for the most part. Like, I can see why that, you know, I can see why those would be good things to hold as tenets. They're probably better than a lot of the stuff that Greeks had going on, honestly. Like, the Greeks had morals. There were things the gods would just hate you for, but they were always really bizarre. Like, compared to Christianity, especially in the New Testament, the Greeks were a lot more like the Old Testament in a lot of ways. For example, there's the whole thing where Greek mythology really frowns on killing... Oh, no. Greek culture really frowned on fratricide and family killing, which is really bizarre given the mythos. Like, the whole thing with Zeus is that he and his siblings fucking murked their father, and that his father functionally murked their, you know, his father, but the first one, even nowadays, like, back then they used to have a good idea of what space and reality around us is, something similar to modern science. Okay, so, like, I don't even like arguing it's that, because, I mean, have you looked into the Islamic Golden Age? Oh, gods. Don't get me started on that. So a while back, I recently started learning about the Islamic Golden Age, and I was like, oh my god, I want to cry. Like, I actually want to cry. So, I had to go look at the exact names, but there was a period of time where the Middle East was like a major center of learning and scientific discovery, okay? Mathematics, natural sciences, the whole shebang. And, when it fell, when some of those collections of knowledge fell apart, the books were thrown into rivers, and in one particular event, who I'm forgetting the name of, I had to look up the cities this happened in, but there was a particular place where so many books were thrown into the river that it turned black with ink. That's fucked up. That's fucked up. As a librarian, as someone who greatly appreciates the collection and preservation of knowledge, just hearing those words horrifies me to my core. Like, the idea that anyone would ever think you should destroy that many books for any reason, it just makes me sad. Can you imagine throwing enough books in the Mississippi River to make it turn black? Like, the sheer amount of books you would have to chuck into it. Think of how much knowledge had to have been lost in that singular moment The kind of knowledge that makes the burning of Alexandria comparable. Like, maybe not worse, but it's comparable to the loss of the Library of Alexandria. And we just don't even fucking talk about it. We don't. We don't talk about how the the Islamic Golden Age was a thing. It's just not really a major part of our history, because a lot of history, especially in the U.S., tends to be pretty Eurocentric until it becomes until it becomes America-centric. Like, it really does feel like, aside from World War II, we kind of just, like, forget about Europe the moment America becomes the moment the American Constitution gets signed. It's hilarious. I know we still mention them, but they become a footnote like the rest of the world, and they only really pop up in how they relate to America or how they relate to, like, World War I or II. Oh, it's funny, but sad. But yeah, like, it's a whole golden age of knowledge that just no one talks about. So, like, and then again, we're talking about the Middle East. Like, Islam is pretty harsh by religion standards, you know? But it could have intellectual golden ages. People are not monoliths. Belief systems are rarely followed perfectly, you know? I mean, I'm into weird occult stuff and mythology. I mean, despite having been someone who did not really believe in religion, I studied loads of shit and was always pretty curious about it. I mean, the occult speaks to me, man. I love stuff like reading about the Lesser Key of Solomon, or, you know, demonology stuff, Aleister Crowley, reading on old, you know, stories and myths, reading about cultures long since gone and the stories they told. From the spider god of Anansi, to the Babylonian goddess Ishtar, to the feathered serpent Quetzalcoatl. I love hearing about all that stuff, despite having mostly existed in a very framework that is mostly, to the most part over the years, been pretty focused on rational understanding of things. Because it's interesting, and we can learn stuff from it. There's something to be said about the way that, like, life and knowledge has been preserved over the centuries. It's just beautiful. I think one of the reasons I like humanity, and I do feel like I'm sometimes very pessimistic about humanity, but I want to say, one of the things I love is the way that we have prioritized the preservation and exchange of knowledge. I got my wing is blocking me, so you can't really see me right now. It's one of the most beautiful things humans do. The idea that our words will follow us through the centuries, the idea that we can pass down knowledge, and, like, for as much pessimism as I sometimes have, things get better because of that, right? So much writing has gone to waste, knowledge, maybe plenty of other stuff. Yeah, there are. There are plenty of things that get lost. But humanity is dead set on preserving information. Despite the Library of Alexandria, despite, like, the river that filled with black ink, we have persevered. We've recovered much of that scientific knowledge. If we lost anything, maybe we lost something that could have been seen a few years earlier. But we discovered in the end again, if that's the case, most likely. We, as a species, have, to a large degree, moved forward. And although we've had our hiccups, you know, we do tend to, as a species, prioritize and appreciate the gathered knowledge we have accumulated. Sure, certain people or movements might argue against that, but I genuinely believe humanity, sheerly through the pure concentration of knowledge, as long as we continue to treasure and preserve the knowledge of previous generations and move it forward, and not just preserve it alone, but add to it, we will see ourselves progress. I think that is an inevitability, so long as we keep that going. So long as new works continue to be made, new discoveries continue to be sought after, and we preserve the writings of old to guide us on that way, I think we will see the world get better. Inevitably. I think that is inevitable, so long as humanity exists and we have the capacity to preserve and add to that collection of knowledge. Sounds like the Pope now. Well, he's a man of culture then. It's the thing about humanity I do truly love the most, though. Then again, I do frame myself as a dragon who has a giant library of books, so it would be weird if I didn't treasure the preservation of knowledge, right? really poetic conclusion. I was mostly just talking about. I mean, I was mostly just like kind of spewing out thoughts. I mean, like, I do believe all of that, but it wasn't like a prepared speech or anything. Oh god, that stupid friggin' Romeo the shoulder move. Alright, got him. Okay. But yeah, I think knowledge is a beautiful thing. One of the reasons I do want to write a book, though, is partially because, like, it's the closest you can get to immortality at the moment. We might find some way of preserving a life for centuries or millennia, but even if we could live for, like, 2,000 years, a book can endure so much longer, right? I mean, think about the Epic of Gilgamesh. It is literally a story from Babylon. And not just that story either. Yes, it's widely regarded as one of the older stories, but plenty of stories of Ishtar and Inu and Tiamat have endured long past the people who initially thought them up. I think it's one of the reasons I'm fascinated with mythology. I feel like when I read a story of myth, I am reading something. Oh god, I don't even want to use spiritual terms, but it feels almost primordial, right? Like old and ancient. Even if it's something relatively new, right? Like Greece. Like ancient Greece is only what? Maybe 3,000-ish years if you include a lot of the Mycenaean stuff. 4,000 at the most. Alright, where is this freaking waterfall? Let me drink the node, because I've been running around for like no idea where I'm going. Damn it. I have no idea where I'm going, and I missed that letter. Well, if that was on the fly, it only means you have a beautiful mind, which means it's not news to me, both for you and for Assembly. Yeah. But no, well, the Library of Alexandria is tragic, and don't get me wrong, I want to cry thinking about it. I'm trying not to. I also think it's a bit romanticized compared to like all the other times knowledge has been lost. I feel like it's, you know, rightfully romanticized because this is like we exist in a very westernized world, and it is probably one of the big European losses of knowledge, right? Like related to Rome and the very, you know, way we look at it. But a lot of it was also just kind of weird stuff. One of the things that's really interesting about a lot of those libraries is that they didn't actually contain mostly written works. A lot like the state libraries we have nowadays, right? They don't have a lot of like fiction. And even if they do have some scientific or legal documentation, a lot of it's stuff like tax records and various different transcripts from trials and cases, legalese, and just stuff in that vein. Arts and communists destroying knowledge. Yeah, communists have always been a bit weird like that, because for people who, I mean, to be fair, I don't really think of them as communists. I tend to think of both China and Russia as authoritarian, because that's what they are. Thinking about them as communists just kind of, to a certain extent, unfairly points to a different ideology and says this horrible thing is that, which I think is kind of dumb. But one of the things I've always found funny is that for as much as they tried to force rationality, right, they tended to be very atheist regimes, they didn't seem to really get that you can't force people to believe shit. Not really. Diablo DRM locked your day. You can have it back for a price. And there will always be the rogues, like us, who freaking get our anti-DRM software off. Actually, I still remember. Okay, so have you guys ever heard about the guy who literally got created like one of the largest prime numbers in the world, or found one of the largest prime numbers in the world just to pirate data, just to do piracy? So you can look this up too. There was back when DVDs were first being a thing, there was encryption on them, and when the encryption was cracked, they wanted to try and patent or copyright the encryption keys, right? To basically make it like, not to stop pirates, because pirates are going to break the law regardless, but to at least make it so that it was illegal for others to use the encryption key. And so the problem with that is, though, just because they can't use the base key doesn't mean they can't use a derivative of it. But the problem also became that if there ever became a standardized way of creating the decryption key, you know, like adding a bunch of numbers, adding, multiplying, and doing all this stuff to it to get the decryption key as an output, if that function ever became popular enough, the new number it was using would simply get copyrighted. So their goal was to find a way to stop them from doing this. And so a bunch of pirates, I forget the details on this, got together and essentially calculated an insanely large prime number, which would be scientifically protected as like important scientific research data, essentially, because it's a very large prime number. It's a mathematically significant number, and thus is not legally allowed to be copyrighted. And so they created a way to decrypt the DVDs using that number to calculate the real number. And so they had a function to calculate it, and the number they were using to calculate using that function was essentially unable to be copyrighted. And so when they tried to do anything about it, they were like, nope, sorry, this is like the, oh god, was it like the 9th largest prime number or something like that at the time? It was like a really large prime number, and the whole point was essentially just to hide behind scientific research stuff so that companies couldn't, like, copyright whatever number ended up being popular among pirates to stop them from doing stuff, to stop them from selling stuff they used it. Because the whole point wasn't about stopping pirates. They knew they weren't going to be able to stop all the pirates. The point was to make it so risky and dangerous that the average person wouldn't want to touch the piracy tools, right? Go for a few people with scare tactics, you know, the huge. Didn't quite work out for them. I had to look it up again, though, but that is, like, the general gist of the story. It's a pretty interesting tale, if you want to, like, look it up. I saw a whole video on it a while back. How are you doing this counter thing? What counter thing? What counter thing? Oh, do you mean the stabbing him through the chest? I have no idea. Maybe we should check that. Oh, I've recently found that if you just attack after a quick attack after that, while holding, I think it's like I hold down the block, wait for it to do it, and then after the block happens, I retaliate, I believe. It's become instinctive. Yeah, it is. So you hold down the block, and without lifting it, when they hit, without lifting the block button, you, oh, shoot. I think you hit, like, the square. Oh, god damn it. But no, it's a really cool thing. God damn it, where is it? I'm trying to figure it out. I'm trying to figure out where I need to go. It says something about the waterfall, but I have no idea where I go for the freaking waterfall. Alright, we're gonna try this one more time. I'm gonna read the note a bit more closely, because I am stumped. God, when you're not blocked by, like, actual enemies for the most part, you're blocked by, like, where the frick do I need to go? Don't complain, though. It forced me doing in-depth engagement with the systems. Forced me to do more in-depth engagement with the systems. Good for you. Well, I'm just trying to figure out how to not die. Okay, that counterattack is freaking annoying. Alright. Alrighty. You know, I'm getting better at this, though. Alright, we've already done this conversation. Can we skip this? Alright. Grab a few of these, heal up. There we go. Okay. Now we're gonna grab the note. Basic rule is to attack quick and use your equipment. Mostly smoke bomb for confusion, mobility for quick and air. Yeah. I'm starting to get the idea I should be using smoke bombs a bit more. Because I was... Oof. I thought I... Nope, there we go. Oh my god, that running... That flip attack is annoying as frick. I hate that move so much. I'm gonna use it back on you, asshole. Aw, he's dead. It's actually up to you to use what you gotta use. Just use it. Just do it. Do it. Do it. Okay. What does this note actually say? It is said that near the Palace of Zarkon, Waterfall, there is an entrance to a cave that is rumored to connect to the greatest depths of Zarkon. So, where is the Palace of Zarkon's, like... Also, I know I found a map for most of this area. So, the Palace of Zarkon. Capital of Vigor. So, Zarkon Falls. See, I know I have to get through here, because this, I feel like this is the direction I need to go, right? Like, I do need to go here. Door stands firmly shut. How do I get this frickin' thing open? Or how do I get around it? Because this is the way to, like, Zarkon, but I'm not sure where I go for, like, the Palace of Zarkon. Also, these guys spawning constantly. Jeez. This is also the point where blocking just becomes dangerous. Okay, so we got this. Cool. Another elixir, that's good. Gonna hop up here. Alright, nice. Oh, but I managed to have Code and Assembly looked over my script for the Omens of Chaos, the Strixhaven book, and I'm doing that. I also realized that I had, so I completely forgotten about Rachel Aaron's new book coming out this year, by the way. It came out like a month ago, and I did not notice, so it's already out now. So I'm currently reading it. From what I understand, it is the last book in her series. It also is the first of her books I've seen that has a 5-star rating on Audible. Like, she's always had pretty decent ratings, like 3, good, high, 3.7, 4 stars, that kind of thing. She has like a fucking 5-star reviews, 5-star average on this book. Which I am just like looking at and going like, oh my, I am in for a treat. I hope I like it. I hope I like it, because, just because everyone likes it doesn't mean I'm going to like it. But I do, it is a promising sign, right? Because other people have gotten to read it. I usually don't see the review scores before I go into a book, because, duh, I usually read a lot earlier. But, I am excited. I'm very excited for her Tear Down Heaven series. Mostly because, again, Ishtar is a just complete badass. Mesopotamian mythology is badass. And I just really enjoy that we're getting to see a bunch of that stuff. It's a part of urban fantasy that I would murder to have more of. I'm so surprised, because I've gone looking, right? I've gone looking for how much Babylonian stuff is used. Babylonian stuff is used occasionally, although weirdly enough, and this is something I've noticed about Babylonian mythology, it's mostly used when you don't want to admit you're using Babylonian mythology. Okay, and I feel like that does need a bit of an explanation, right? So, Babylonian mythology pops up a lot more than you would think. I was looking for things that, like, reference Babylonian mythology, and I was like, oh, The Exorcist does, with Pazuzu, right? Mesopotamian demon, like, that kind of area, right? You have Tiamat in D&D, but she's not really a Babylonian goddess, she's a completely different goddess, although some of the old Sumerian and Egyptian gods do exist in D&D, so it's kind of weird that Tiamat is specifically a dragon goddess who has nothing to do with her other version of herself. In case you were wondering, yes, D&D apparently does have actual real-life religious figures. Like, Zeus is an actual god, and he's the Zeus from our mythology? Because apparently a long time ago, a magical empire summoned a bunch of people from the real world and turned them into a servant race, and the high god, king of the gods or whatever, let the other gods come over to help their people. I was thinking about writing a knowledge compendium myself for video games and lost knowledge along with instructions. That's cool. Alright, so I need to find the waterfall. Rip them apart. God, this is like some Wolverine-ass shit. And there are a lot more like this. There's also a Sumerian god that's referenced by the Magnus Archives, for instance. When they're first referencing, when they're first encountering the Lightless Cult, these cultists who are like the Desolation, who serve the Desolation. It's fire with all its good aspects removed, you know, just the pain of burning and loss, without the kindness, warmth, or light. And there's this whole section where they debate that, like, there was a demon in Mesopotamia or Sumerian mythology who was so ugly that he would boil rivers just by looking at it. Because there was the main way they first saw the Desolation Cult was this scene of this, like, lobby, and this guy who gave his testimony of the vending machine with all of the drinks boiling and there's no obvious fire. All before this, like, guy got killed by who we later learned to be kind of like a hunter, so to speak. Not an actual hunter. See, I can't even say hunter because hunter has very different connotations in Magnus Archive than it does in, like, World of Darkness, for example. Gerard's more of a, like, I deal with supernatural stuff. His mom was a cultist. It's the whole thing. You know, fucking Jared did not deserve what his fate. I mean, most people in the Magnus Archives didn't deserve what happened to them. Like, even the survivors, like, you know, I don't think I've ever talked about this. Okay, so if you need spoilers, go watch the Magnus Archives. Just do it. It's great. But at the end of the series, the main characters are basically all dead. Every main character from season 1 is dead by the last episode, or at least implied to be more likely than not dead. Maybe they went with the fear somewhere else for the last two, but it's pretty implied that they're all dead. Okay, and there's this whole thing where they are essentially going by and, like, cleaning up the wreckage. Like, they're not the main characters, but they were, like, the new members of the team, right? So, like, Melanie, Basira, and Georgie. They're, like, the only survivors. So it's, like, John's old childhood friend, an old ghost caster who got caught up in all this because Elias offered her a deal, and she knew John, and she didn't listen to all the freaking warnings he gave her. And Basira, who was a cop who got involved in all this a long time ago, and she had to kill her best friend when she turned into a werewolf. It's a thing. But basically, at the end of it all, the fears have escaped into other realities, but our reality is now cleansed of them, or the main character's reality is now cleansed of them. And they are finding this tape. And they're talking about how, like, the Magnus Archive has crumbled, and they have all the children while they try and find their parents. Because basically everyone has been trapped in fear dimensions, where they've been tormented with whatever they feared the most. All while avatars, people infused with the power of the fears, tormented them like deranged gods. And yeah, when they lost their powers, they all got fucking lynched. Like, one of them, who was known for dropping people off buildings to make them feel the fear of falling, very clearly got lynched by a mob after everything was said and done. But the point I'm trying to make here is that when we go back to it, okay, they're talking about how, like, all the kids are gonna need therapy and how they're running out of nightlights because so many people have been tormented by the dark. And it's like, oh god, the entire fucking world needs therapy. I forget where I'm going with this. I went on a tangent, now I don't know where I was here. One second, I can rewind. I can figure out why I was here. Now I don't know where I was here. God, this is like some Wolverine-ass shit. Mom was a cultist. And, like, cleaning up the wreckage. Like, they're not... I mean, most people in the Magnus Archive didn't deserve what happened. Ugly. That he would boil rivers. Oh, yeah, Gerard. Just by his mom. Gerard, most people not deserving what happened to them. That was it, okay. So, most people don't deserve what happened to the Magnus Archives. That's the point I was trying to make. The entire world has been traumatized. And when I say the entire world, I mean, the whole world. So, like, this world. Yeah, but, like, everyone has phobia now. Like, you know how I was scared of snakes as a kid? Where even, like, the word snake would set me off? Now, imagine if every adult was like that, but for, like, 4 or 5 different things. Or entire concepts. Like, just being dark out. Imagine if every adult needed to be in, like, fully lit environments to get to sleep. Because they could not sleep in the dark. We'd run out of nightlights so quickly. But anyway, the point I was trying to make is that most people don't deserve what happened. But Jared specifically didn't deserve what happened to him. Out of all the people in the Magnus Archives, he got dealt one of the shittiest hands. And unlike a lot of other people in the Magnus Archives, who were dealt shitty hands and used it to excuse their bad behavior, Jared actually is a good person. For reference, by the way, his mom and his dad worked at the Magnus Archives, and they learned about the Eldritch Abomination magic. Wait till you bring up the gaze. That should not be funny. But yeah, his dad and his mom all worked at the Magnus Archives, so they already got up to some shit. Anyway, Mary managed to get out of the Magnus Archives through eldritch means without having to cut out her eyes, which is usually the price of leaving the guy's service. And she stole several Lightners, or at least acquired some after the fact, using her connections. And is implied to have killed Jared's father. She then became a cultist who worshipped not any one of the fears, like many people tend to, but she worshipped the fears as like a unified concept, which is a very rare thing in the Magnus Archives. The fears tend to draw people in. Despite being technically the same thing, they are different aspects of it. And very few people or objects are tied to most of them. It's usually a very tight crossroads. If you know anything about Warhammer 40k, it's a bit like having like all 4 of the Chaos Gods see you as one of their chosen, like being Chaos Undivided. It's a very, very tight rope to walk to prevent being like bound to any one fear, any one Eldritch God. Because they usually tend to like exemplify extremes to an extent. There are times where they kind of share, like entities and people who embody multiple fears, but generally, especially with like avatars or those who wield their powers or cultists, they tend to worship a singular fear. Like the dark has its own cult, the lightless flame has its own cult, that kind of thing. Some people recoil at the sight of a rainbow these days. That's why I thought it was kind of funny, but it shouldn't be. Yeah, people recoiling at the sight of a rainbow. And now the rainbow, like, they can't even accept that sometimes a rainbow is just a rainbow, too. Like, it's like, hey, why do you have that flag? It's like, it's just rainbow colored. I like colors. It's like, how dare you? How dare you? It's like, no, colors are fun. Which fear is that in the Magnus Archives? Ooh. Well, it would probably either be the fear of the stranger, which is the fear of the other, the fear of that which is not you. The web, the fear of control and influence, like the idea that just like being near it, right, is gonna make you, gonna align you with this ideology, so that you would be repulsed by any implication of the ideology, not even the ideology itself, just the implication that it exists. So that could be it. It could also be, I think the stranger and the web, probably. The stranger and the web. Those are the probably two most likely candidates. Holy shit, can't you do that platforming challenge without getting caught in this shit? Alright, so where do I need to go here? So, Zarkon, the Great Bridge is right here. Oh, maybe I need to go down this alley and go near the water. Because now I have the scuba gear, that's right. Okay, so let's go try and go find the alleyway near the water. The stranger is the fear of the uncanny and the other. That which is different from you. The way that your identity might be destroyed, or that you or the fear of identities that you find alien to yourself. So it would probably be the stranger. The stranger would probably represent conformist fears, which is kind of a bit weird. I mean, the web definitely has a bit there, right? Because it's about conformity and control, and the idea that you're nothing but a puppet, the idea that you can be easily influenced. So I'd say they both have pretty good claim there. I'm trying to find like a place where I can get near the water. But no, like, they don't tend to share. So Mary Keys was able to maintain this balance for a very long time. But she always had greater aspirations. She didn't want to just worship the entities. That's why she kind of was able to keep herself unaligned, is that she didn't necessarily worship the entities like in a religious sense. She worshipped them in the sense that they were power that she could attain. And there was one particular fear she was interested in that the fear of the end, the fear of death, often manifested ironically as immortality, because what better way to make people fear death than to make them beg for it, right? To be both repulsed and pleading for it, to desire it and seek it, yet never acquire it. To fear that their own end would never come. There are several people throughout the series who are cursed with a form of immortality by the end. One in particular, the Reapers, who play games of chance to those who are about to die. The twist is, of course, that they are the people who won the games of chance, and the only one you can lose when you're a Reaper, because fate and luck bend to your will, is if somebody cheats. No matter what the game is, you're a master of it, and luck will always bend to your side. However, people can cheat, and if you do it, well, if you're brave enough to cheat death, then you become death. The downside is that the person who survives becomes immortal, becomes human again, they're immortal, and by the way, you can't like eat or taste. All your senses are basically like diluted. You feel like you're walking through life, but not really alive again. You will never be alive again. You are dead. Your body just doesn't realize it. I really need to figure out where to go. God, it's driving me insane. I need to look it up. I can't do this. Alright, we're gonna look this up. So, to get to Zarkon, we need to time to collect the rest of the treasures about the stadium. First, there's a dead body across the save point. Search to obtain a map. Nope, that's not it. Damn it. Too obvious to die. Too oblivious to die. Yeah. So her whole thing was that she wanted to become immortal. And she found a book where the names of the dead could be recorded. And she both found / kind of altered. It's weird. Magnus Archives rituals aren't like magic systems. They're more like weird rituals of belief. It'd be like inventing a ritual in real life, but it did the things you wanted it to do. Sort of like Mage, actually, in a lot of ways. The magic system probably could play out in a Mage setting fairly reasonably, to an extent. Oh my god. Oh, thank god. I got in here. Got in here. Okay. Old man, I need some shit. Need a Great Spirit Elixir. Thank you. Alright, now how do I get there? There are a whole bunch of chests near the upper balconies. Find the lever. Alright. Oh, okay, so I was completely the wrong place, I think. I think I'm in the completely wrong place. I think I need to go back to the stadium? Let me see here. 1 second. I need to see something here. Underground Cemetery. Hall of Eons. No. No. No, because that's not it. That can't be it. I'm trying to figure out where I need to go. So we need to get back. I think I need to get back to where I was. Weirdly enough. Alright, so we need to head back to the church. I think that's how I'll do this. I need to head back to the church real quick. So we're going to go back to that church over there. Even though I feel like we should be going to the Great Bridge, because that's the direction we're supposed to be going, but whatever. I've wasted a bunch of time this stream. I apologize. I'll have to get further into Gaiden on my own time, because I have wasted a bunch of time this one today. No, wait. I went the freaking wrong way, didn't I? Yep, I did. Alright, there we go. Nice. But, yeah, so she performed a ritual to try to bind her spirit to a book. Yes, it was one of the evil cursed books from like, the Eldritch Gods, like a piece of them brought into being, all that jazz. She was very confident she could control it, and she tried to force Jared to take part in the ritual. Now, unknowns to her, Jared had actually been subtly working to destroy books. His mother had made him go out and look for them occasionally, but he had actually grown a bit of a spine, and had started actively trying to destroy any he found. He didn't actually want to have them permanently, he wanted to get rid of them. And after his mother attempted a ritual, she failed because he refused to help her, and he actually went to jail for a bit of time. Because she was dead. Well, sort of. Her ghost was partially bound to the book, but it didn't fully take, and he ended up destroying her page. So she wasn't immortal like she wanted to be. And Jared was eventually picked up. They eventually started hunting these entities that had ruined his life. You know, they caused his mother to become a psychopathic bitch. They made they led to his father's death. He blamed them for a lot, and not unfairly. The entities have caused a lot of evil in the world, in the Magnus Archives. They are essentially responsible for most of the supernatural, if not all the supernatural problems, to be honest. It's implied there might be something more to the world than just the fears, but when it comes to powers that actively have a hand in shaping the world, yeah, it's just the fears. It's just the fears. There might be other supernatural things out there, maybe, but none of them seem pleasant. But the fears are possibly the only real thing. Or at least the only thing that's real enough. I don't know how you count that. It's a little weird to describe. No gods of hope, though. That is kind of the thing. It's a bit grimdark in that regard. No hope allowed. Yeah, so he went to jail, and after he got out, he started becoming sort of a pseudo-hunter. Not a hunter with a capital H, which in Magnus Archives means you're consumed by the fear of being hunted and killing and animal instinct and all that, which it does come with a lot of benefits, and they do generally act better than most avatars, but when you become consumed by the hunt, eventually you slaughter, and the violence becomes pointless. It's the whole thing. But no, he became a supernatural, like, I'm gonna put down this shit kind of person. He didn't like bargaining with the fears or using their shit. And even when he was on vacation, he actually was willing to help people out, like when he noticed they were marked by the fears, because his mother and all the others had given him an eye for that kind of shit. He saved a person from being, like, consumed by the lonely while he was on fucking vacation in Italy. For just no reason. He was a generally good person, is my point. Like, a very good person. By the standards of the Magnus Archives. Honestly, even just by normal standards, he was constantly helping people out, and eventually hooked up with Gertrude, who was, like, the fucking most badass old lady in all of existence. No, like, seriously. I know there are badass old people in a lot of manga and anime. Gertrude is next level. This lady was not an avatar. Like, the archivist of the Magnus Archives eventually usually gains supernatural powers. Gertrude did fucking not do that. She actively tried to eschew using any supernatural abilities the eye granted her, because she knew that fucking apple was poisoned. She knew it was poisoned. She had assistants at one point, but eventually she realized that having people around just gets them killed. And she survived some insane bullshit. She survived she pulled off some shit that just should not be done. Like, when the Cult of the Lightless Flame tried to bring about the Desolations ritual, they basically crafted this child who was born of agony and despair. Literally, like a flame incarnate. Everyone she touched that wasn't, like, part of the cult would burn, and even some of the cult members would, like, get hurt by her touch. She was next level avatar. Like, an avatar and a monster in one person. an embodiment of the desolation in the physical world. But the problem is the desolation is very specific, right? It requires this person to be alive, and there were some specific things that needed to occur, and one of them needed her to be used in the ritual. Gertrude did something that broke Agnes. It's unclear exactly what, but she did it partially by tying her own life to Agnes Montague in a way that I don't think she could fully die, at least not in the way they had hoped, right? In the giant bonfire of desolation. And if they tried to kill Gertrude, the bond with her... No, okay, so what she did was she basically engineered a situation where Agnes would fall in love with someone. At least, like, a little bit. Which is antithetical to the desolation. And then to prevent the desolation from coming after her, she bound her own life in some eldritch ritual in the forest to Agnes Montague. In such a way that no one could kill her without killing Agnes. And the cult didn't want that because they wanted her to die. But they didn't want Agnes to die because she was basically all they had left of the flame. It's implied she might have permanently tied her life to the desolation's ability to perform a ritual. To an extent. The rituals ended up not mattering as much because, jokes on the entities, they suck. But the point is, she essentially gave the middle finger to a gigantic cult of insane pyromaniacs made of melted wax, and then told them, by the way, kill me and you kill your savior, bitch. And then just dared them to come after her. She somehow dealt with one ritual. She was apparently fond of using C4 to interrupt the arcane rituals because they tend to be rather fragile. Thank you for the bless you. She stole pelts and old artifacts. She slaughtered avatars and monsters to the point where the Magnus the archive itself, like the Magnus Institute, was basically considered an unassailable territory. She was so terrifying that the other entities laugh at the new archivist, like, you're the new guy? Oh, thank goodness, I thought we were gonna have to deal with another Gertrude. Fuck that shit. Oh, they hate her, but they respect her. She was terrifying. Again, this is a world with, like, shape-changing entities and people who can set you on fire with invisible fire you cannot see. There are people who can who can teleport, who can fly, who can swallow you. Entities that will just fucking wipe you out of reality or mind control you completely. And she was just, nope. Fuck you, got mine, I've got a shotgun, get wrecked. Like, she burnt down the disease clinic where a guy was trying to, like, where an embodiment of plague who had existed since the goddamn World War II era, at least. He was literally simply like a guy who constantly revived with deadlier and deadlier illnesses every time he died. He was like nearly immortal. One of the Rot's few truly immortal entities. He was fucking nightmarish, even the guy who took him down, which wasn't Gertrude in the end, although she did severely wound the man. She set his entire fucking operation on fire. Just casually. And guess who was around for that? It was good old Jared. See, after a long time of, like, losing, Gertrude, let me make it clear, Gertrude wasn't just, like, a saint. Jared was actually a good person. Gertrude was ruthless. She was I hate to even say this, but she was a monster. She was a monster who learned to be monstrous to fight the monstrous, right? She sacrificed at least 2 of her apprentices. She chopped up the body of an astronaut who had been touched by the Vast and threw him into the pit the Buried was trying to use for its ritual because the 2 entities are antithetical, thus destabilizing it and destroying it. She sacrificed Michael, her assistant, and turned him into the distortion, or the distortion absorbed his identity. It's a little unclear. The distortion is fucking weird. We're not gonna get into that topic. But there are a lot of parts of this where it's like, she was ruthless. Like, I need to make it very clear. She is only not a villain because the things she was fighting are insanely worse. Like, Tiny Tanya verse of this verse. Tiny Tanya, whelp. Yeah, kinda. She was very brutal. She was very effective, but she was very brutal. She made other entities wait until she died. Actually, the whole reason she died, this is a major spoiler, by the way, because one of the major questions is, like, what happened to Gertrude? Because John only got the position because the archivist went missing. Now, you might assume, oh, she got kindly caught up in something. Nope, her own fucking boss did her in because she had gotten so good at this shit. She'd figured out who Elias was. Elias was actually the founder of the Magnus Institute, John Magna, who found another way to make himself immortal by constantly body hopping using his eyeballs. And she was gonna set the entire place on fire, destroy his place of power, and then go shoot his actual body, which was hidden in this, like, old, you know the concept of the, oh god, it's the prison. It's the prison that has, like, one singular watchtower that can watch everyone. That, the original one. Way more fucked up, honestly. Obviously. Yeah. She was gonna kill him and burn down his place of power. And he realized what she was about to do while she was, like, literally pouring gasoline. She came in and was like, yeah, so I'm not gonna let you do that. And she's like, I thought I had a few more minutes. Like, literally, no panicking or anything. She's just like, oh, come on. Can you not have waited, like, a few more minutes for me to light the match? Like, literally, come on. Badass to the end. She even, like, just had a casual conversation. Like, she knew she was gonna die. She was like, look, I've stopped a lot of these entities. I know when I'm beat. You've got a gun. I don't have a gun. I don't have any of the magic shit on me because I was preparing to burn all of it. You got me, Elias. Anyway, we were talking about Jared Keyes, but I've got off topic of Gertrude because she was fucking insane. Crazy woman. But again, like I said, not above human sacrifice. Remember, there was an astronaut who had been tortured by the Vast. Not a follower. He had just been tortured by it and touched by it in a very strong way during this, like, creepy experiment some of the followers were doing. And his body was good, so she chopped him up and, you know, killed him just to throw him down a pit. But Jared was an actual good person. Jared reached out to help people even when he didn't need to, even when it might not have helped. He actively tried to put down the entities without causing harm to others, at least as much as is possible. And he had a horrible fate. He died. But Gertrude needed him. He knew shit, you know? He was valuable. And so, without really asking him, Gertrude inscribed his name in the book his mother had used for that ritual so long ago. The ritual that had gotten him sent to prison, that had killed his mother, no matter how much, you know, no matter how fucked up the relationship had gotten, right? They were still child and son, mother and son, mother and son. And Gertrude interrupted him. He had lived his whole life without being bound to the powers. He had managed to, for the most part, stay away from it. Now, he did have a bunch of eye symbolism, so it's possible he might have started to align a bit with the Beholding. That's only because the Beholding kind of can protect against some other stuff. He didn't really seem to be a fully aligned with it, if you catch my drift. But Gertrude bound him in the Book of Death. She denied him his rest. And it might be the most fucked up thing she's ever done, because he does understand why she did it. She made levels more linear. Yeah, the Ninja Gaiden Sigma did make the levels more linear, I suppose. While he does understand why she did it, it's essentially a betrayal of everything he stood for, right? It aligns his soul permanently with the end. It traps him in a life that he had finally been released from, because honestly, given the shit he had to deal with, a peaceful death was basically all he asked for. He didn't even die from a monster. He died from fucking cancer. Yeah, he spent the last few years of his life fighting monsters with cancer. And also helping people out because he just cared that much. He was one of the truly few good, undeserving people. Outside of just the random victims, you know, who come up in the Magnus Archives, one of the characters who we see more and more of, who touch the entities and refuse to be corrupted by them. He was one of the only people, I think, who I can honestly say came out of that morally good. Even Martin, who is like a very good person, was tied up with the Eye and did some questionable shit. Like, he did it for good reasons, and he never really truly desired to harm people. But he was forced into uncomfortable situations to make uncomfortable choices. I'd say he's almost as good as Jared. Like, Jared had his own one or two things that he's had to do, but he never did them because Martin got wrapped up in the lonely. It was a whole thing. I feel like Martin was a bit reckless in that regard. Jared was just, he had seen, right? He had seen what this shit will do to people, what the entities will do, and he decided that he was not going to be a part of that. I don't know, he didn't want any of that nonsense, and he died, and then he was forced to keep living. And the worst part is, the book didn't end with Gertrude, because see, Gertrude had like some questionable histories in America where they were at the time, and so she had to leave the book behind when the cops came around. She had to flee and leave the book in the Lost and Found. Then, two hunters, a vampire hunter specifically, who we'd found out before, and this other girl who watched her father get killed by the Dark Monster, found the book and found Jared. And he was like, oh, thank goodness, I can finally be at peace. Nope. We are hunters, and we need you. So we're going to keep you alive even longer. In the end, Jonathan Sims is the one who sets him free. Sims had gone looking for Gertrude and, you know, his research for help on what to do next, to figure out how to stop a bunch of bad shit that was about to happen. And he found the book on his sabbatical in America. Particularly after he encountered the two hunters, one of whom he had remembered from a statement, who at that point were like full-on avatars of the hunt, so they were fucking dangerous, by the way. But yeah, so he found the book, and he realized that they had Jared. And when he realized that, Jared was like, you know me. And he's like, I've read your statements, the ones where you pop up as a kid, the statements of your mother. I know what happened to her, what happened to you, or at least for the most part. I'm sorry. And Jared basically just says, look, I had my time, and hey, I got to fucking die. Which is more than everyone in this world can say. I got to stop suffering, and I also got to do so in a way that was, for the most part, natural. Like, the entities had nothing to do with it. He was actually a little surprised, right? Like, he had always figured the entities were going to be his undoing, but somehow he got lucky enough to not have his life ruined to that extent by the entities. Only, of course, for the end to get him at the end, afterwards, right? That's the fucked up part. But he got to die from, like, cancer. He just wants to just end. This isn't life. It's... His mother didn't know what the fuck she was talking about. There are forms of immortality that aren't worth it. And this half state of only being conscious long enough to answer questions and feeling immense agony in his very soul was not worth it to him. And you know what? Fair point. That's a really sucky way to be alive. Mostly because you're not. You're a ghost, but you get my point. Alright. Fireball! So yeah, Gerald was one of those, like, rare characters in the Magnus Archives who basically was, like, a complete innocent. And there are a bunch of completely innocent people in the Magnus Archives, don't get me wrong. It's just that most of the people who are completely innocent don't stick around long. Jared lasted. He survived shit that would have either turned or corrupted or killed lesser people. Part of it was through luck. You know, he got lucky to an extent. But it also was because he just genuinely was a good person and did not deserve what happened to him. It's so good. I highly recommend reading Magnus Archives. It's a very good story. No, I still stand by saying I think Jared Keyes is basically the closest to moral good you will find in that book. Outside of the one-off characters, his only job is to suffer. You know, although you could argue maybe every character's job in that series is just to suffer. But they find stuff regardless. And Gertrude respected the fuck out of the man. Like, she did respect him. She hadn't had a equal before, and she hadn't had an assistant in a long time, because assistants hadn't ended well for her in the past, right? But she treasured having someone there at the end, especially as she was getting into her twilight years, and this was not becoming as easy as it used to be, so to speak. But yeah, it's one of those things about the Managed Archives I do think is really impressive. Just how much it injects into a world that on the surface, right, seems to be very, like, morally neutral, or, like, morally corrupt to an extent. You can have characters like Jared Keyes who still represent really good people trying to objectively do good, who don't get taken in with the entities. Because, again, the main cast does try. They really try. But all of them are compromised. I mean, maybe not Sasha. I mean, even Sasha had worked in the artifacts department, and Conan Assembly knows the kind of shit they get up to. He's seen the kind of shit that goes in that place. In our campaign, you have, I mean. So you know the kind of, like, messed up stuff you have to be researching. It's sort of like how, like, it's hard to be morally good when you work at the SCP Foundation, right? Because sometimes the morally good thing to do is to sacrifice children to a demon's prison so it never gets loose. Because that's better than the entire world burning. Then again, that's like one, you know, ideology of good. There are multiple competing theorems that would argue that is actually still evil. Or maybe that's not, like, actually good. It may be, you know, utilitarianism is a whole thing. But I do think Jared Keyes is one of those characters. He was one of my favorite characters when I was like, listening to, and, like, really into the series. In the end, Jonathan Sims, though, even though he could use Jared, and there is a temptation, right, for him to keep Jared's page. Because he's bound to the page, and Jared, you know, if Jared's given the chance, he's a good person. He's not, even if you would hate John for, like, keeping him around, just like he hates the Hunters, and would probably betray him to anyone who, like, wanted to set him free, he probably wouldn't not tell John even if John said no, right? Like, if John lied to him, he'd probably still get the info, because he's a good person who doesn't want to see the fears win. He doesn't want to see rituals overcome, you know, happen, and he doesn't want the world to go to shit. Well, shoot me. Oh, shit. But John does. Even though it'll make the Hunters turn against him, he manages to get away, but they come back, and there's a major reason for why Daisy becomes a werewolf and has to be killed during the Apocalypse arc. She was already fighting the hunt, but she was maybe making a recovery, but then she had to deal with the other Hunters, and then she lost herself. So it was a whole thing. So his again, consequences for your fucking actions. But he did a good thing, even though it came back to bite them, and he knew it was going to come back to bite him. Jared was an immense source of knowledge, too. His mother was super into the cult. He knew Gertrude personally. He had been studying this stuff for years, right? He knew things. Knew things that you just cannot find out unless you experience them. But John agreed to do what was right. And in the end, you know, Jared Keyes finally got to rest after all those years. Oh my god. Frickin'! This area, I fucking swear. This goddamn area. Oh shit, when was the last time I saved? I love how I'm not going to make any progress today. I'm going to be stuck in the same chapter I started in. Alright, I need to find a save point and save before I do anything after I get through this cave. But yeah. I do enjoy talking about the Magnus Archives, because it's a really good show. I've tried looking for other horror podcasts. There are a few. But none of them quite tickle the same exact spot. Even the Magnus Protocol, which I thought I was eventually going to talk about, it just doesn't hit the same. I don't know what it is. Like, they still have good horror chops, you know? They're still doing good horror work. but it doesn't hit the same. The only thing I found that was similar, and I mentioned this before, is the White Vault, which is also really good and you should check out. There are one or two other things that came close. But if I ever had to recommend, like, horror, narrative, like, audio drama podcasts, it would be the White Vault and it would be Magic Archive. I think I have recommended both those. I believe I have, like, some ancient audio review of the White Vault from a long time ago. Please don't go look for it. It is a terrible video from before I actually made videos and back when it was, like, purely audio. It's basically just the White Vault thumbnail with some drawing backdrop and my voice. That's all that is. Please don't look into it. It's bad. My oldest videos are not just, like, bad in the traditional, oh, YouTuber, I've improved kind of way. They're bad in the, like, they're not even really videos kind of way. Man, oh man, I've come a long way. Everyone started somewhere. Yep. Oh, actually, that reminds me, the Mummy review has been doing well. I was not expecting it to do. It has done extremely well. In the first, like, 24 hours, it has gotten over 100 views. I have no idea how. I have no idea why. I got a subscriber off it. I don't have the words for that. I got a subscriber the first 24 hours of a video releasing, and it's the goddamn Mummy review. Like, I looked over it with Fred, just to make sure it didn't have any, like, glaring problems, and he was like, yeah, it's pretty average. It's like an average review for you. I think it's one of my more average reviews, but apparently people liked it. And you know what? I am so grateful for that. You guys have no idea how grateful I am that you guys have liked it, that people have liked stuff like that. I am just blown away constantly that people want to watch my stuff, even if it's not, like, a ton of people. Like, because, you know, like, small numbers like that seem like jokes to a lot of YouTubers, and I'm almost like, oh my god, it's 100. Alright. You know, I love how we have, like, a dozen different forms of katana. Each viewer is an individual person. Yeah, I know. It blows me away. Also, like, because it's such a short video, too, the 2-minute average watch time actually means people are watching, like, somewhere between, like, a third to a fourth of it, I think. It's not, like, flat 2 minutes, like 2 minutes something seconds, 2 minutes, like, 30 seconds, I think. So I think they're watching, like, somewhere around, like, a third of the video on average, which means a lot of people are watching just the entire thing, right? Because that's, like, a thing. You might get a lot of viewers, but it's not always good retention metrics throughout the video. Shorts tend to have better retention metrics, which is, I think, why they've been prioritized. I think one of the subtle ways YouTube actually prioritizes short content, and has for a long time, is because they care partially about the average amount of time that people stay for the whole thing. You know, the average amount of the video people watch, and it's a lot higher percentage in shorter content than it is in longer content. You know, they used to prioritize watch time. What was retention? I missed it. Like 2 minutes and 30 seconds, I think. Let me double check it real quick. Oh my god, wait, have I been staring at this screen for this long? Oh no. Okay, let me see. Go back to YouTube Studio. I've already YouTube Studio open, so I can actually check it. Oh, hey, Dawn Seeker! Good to see you. Good to see you, my friend. Good to see you. Analytics. The retention is currently 2 minutes and 25 seconds out of a 9-minute video. So it's less than a third, but more than a fourth of the video. Yeah, it's good. You've been playing lots of Nevergrave. I mean, I'm not surprised. You seem to enjoy Nevergrave. Every time we talk about it, you seem to have good things to say. I love when they get stuck on walls. Alright. Oof. Oh, I can do like a thrusting attack. That's cool. I can do like this like chest piercing. I didn't know you could like repeat the thrust inside their chest. You really need to try it. I might have to. I'm probably not gonna be like super huge on it like you, but I do like trying different things, right? Really need to get that combo down. Apparently the sword gets more powerful with the number of souls. It's the thrust attack. Okay, that's the one that's letting me do like the chest stab. The forward light. I like how I can absorb freaking health from them. That's so cool. Need health. Gimme. Gimme health. Got no friends to play multiplayer with. See, I'm not a huge multiplayer gamer. I mean, I am to an extent. I'm not gonna lie. I still play Elden Ring Seamless Co-op. Actually, oh, I have some fun news about that. I got Seamless Co-op to work on Linux. That's right. Elden Ring with mods works on Linux, baby. Now, I don't have Steam input controls, so it's a little weird. I'm having to kind of relearn the controls because they're weird. They're kind of like janky controls a bit because I'm using keyboard controls but binding them to a gamepad, which has some subtle differences. For example, you can't bind multiple inputs that way, even though multiple inputs were bound using the controller. Okay. Oh, shit. Got him. I do love... Yeah, it does seem kind of like a boss attack. I will say, it is really, really satisfying to get off. Also, it has some, like, nice feedback with the thumping. Oh, God. It's nice bass sound effects, right? Gotta love that bass. Damn it, those were health orbs. You stopped me from getting the health orbs, you assholes. You guys are really quick. Oof. Fireball! I can't reach those parts of the games on the other. I would like to have this wrapped up because I want to move on to Ninja Gaiden Sigma 2 in order for you to find the definitive. I mean, I'm probably not moving straight on to 2. I'm just going to let you know that. 2 is probably like a next year game. Or at the very least a few months away from this, you know? I want to do some of the newer things, some of the indie projects. You know, break up the monotony. I will eventually move on to 2, I want you to know that, but I do want to do other things. Alright. I do not have to rush to it. Bless you. Yeah, no, you don't have to rush. I will be taking my time before I get to 2. Probably next year. I'm probably thinking this will be like a yearly thing. That gives me like a good summer or winter game. Honestly, it might be better in like the winter when maybe like there are a few things coming out. You know, in the post-Christmas haze, right? I seem to recall once having mentioned that having people in Discord play multiplayer games and me being shy. Oh, dude, no. Discord is a great place to find people. I mean, I used to, like, get matches in Demon Souls. Never gave my pick for a multiplayer game. Yeah. See, I actually used to go into, so I used the Fextra Life Discord for a while to get, like, matches in Bloodborne and in Demon Souls. Like, that's where people would meet up to do, like, trades, or to do co-op, or to do any kind of like summoning or multiplayer, because the servers were just so dead you basically had to use passwords to find anyone. Alright, let's go ahead and use Life of the gods. And then Life of the 1,000 gods. Alright. About Ninja Gaiden Sigma. In a whole situation about it. Honestly, very solid game. Brutally unfair, but very solid. The door stands firmly fucking shut. Of course it does. I have not found a map to this area. I really need to find a save point because I just finished like a death march. Oh, thank everything. Okay, we're trapped here now. Very careful because I want to keep it as invisible as possible on the internet. I mean, don't get me wrong. I also, like, I know this might sound weird from a YouTuber, but I actually was pretty subtle online for the most part. I would occasionally look for people on Discord with 1 or 2 messages, but nothing like too deep. You know, no real chat, just like, hey, looking for game in Bloodborne. Look, I'm trying to invade in Bloodborne using Fextra Life Key, this area, right? Like, very basic shit. Until I started doing YouTube, I didn't really post a lot online. You can try looking for me. There's not much. I did a fanfiction or 2. I think I had already done the Heartstrikers after I started working on stuff for my channel, at least back when it was at least, you know, purely audio. So I don't think that counts, because that would have been post this. I did like an Aragon fanfiction, and I had commented on a few things. And I made a Minecraft mod a long time ago, but I don't think I ever posted it. It was a very simple mod, very stupid. It was an obsidian weapons and armor. Well, not even an armor. It was an obsidian weapons mod where they all came with an inherent fire aspect effect. So like it was I made this mod at like a summer camp thing where we were taught how to like code and they used Minecraft. You taught to make Minecraft mods. This was back when I like tried to originally make something that would cause an arrow to spawn a lightning bolt, but there was some real fuckery going on in Minecraft with the bolt. I forget what it was. The arrow was like an entity when it was spawned, and even though I could get the effect where like if I managed to create an effect where if I dropped an arrow it could spawn a lightning bolt, but I couldn't like create a lightning arrow. I could create a bow that only fired things, and wherever it hit, it did a lightning effect. But I couldn't create like a lightning arrow, and that was driving me really insane. Due to the way that the item became the entity class, this was before things like spectral arrows were in the game, so I think they just, like, I would have had to do a lot more coding to get it to register it as a different entity. I tried creating an entirely different, like, entity class for the lightning arrow, right? But for some reason, the bow wouldn't fire it correctly. I can't remember why. Anyway, when I couldn't do that, I ended up going to... It's brutally on it. Brutal because it's honest. A similar way to fear. I ended up going to a basic, like, obsidian tool mod. They were basically just, like, extremely tough tools that could mine diamond a bit faster, could mine obsidian a bit faster, and had a bit more damage. You know, very beginner, like, very this person's first mod kind of deal, right? Very, I'm not gonna say it's interesting or unique. There were a bunch of mods kind of like it, using different materials. I used obsidian because I think it looked cool. I had like kind of like gold. I used blaze rods instead of sticks because I was like, oh, that'd be cool. And as a result, I made sure they all had an inherent fire aspect effect. So whenever you hit something with it, they would be set on fire. I probably have the files for it sitting on my computer somewhere. Oh, I messed with texture packs. Oh, are we counting texture packs? Because I had messed with texture packs a few times. I hadn't posted any of them, but I did mess with texture packs a few times. I did the whole thing. I did a version of a glass texture based on what I'd seen in Scar Plays Minecraft. I couldn't get a hold of his texture, so I'm like, I can make a texture. So I made a glass texture that was actually like fully transparent and just had a black line around it. Because I thought it looked nice. Like when the number of blocks was resolvable. I mean, the number of blocks is actually still pretty resolvable in a lot of ways. The main issue I find if you're making a texture pack is like the copper blocks, right? If you want to make a texture pack nowadays, the wood varieties and the copper blocks are what are gonna really fuck you over. Copper, I feel like, is worse than the wood. The wood, at least, you just have to make like different palette swaps, right? For the most part, like if you really want to, you can just do a full-on palette swap, or you can use the original designs. But the copper ones are a whole different story. Oh my, I'm so low on health. Reasonable, yeah. I think the copper blocks are the worst, honestly, nowadays. Because they have the different levels of oxidized. And then, unlike the wood stuff, where some wood things are just generically wood, every copper object, every single copper object, has all 4 copper variants. Do you know how exhausting that list is? It is, oh gods. It also created the item with the largest name. Just, oh. No, I can't do copper block textures. Like, I could see doing all the others if you had enough time, but copper blocks are just too long. There's just too many of them, right? And then, again, it's the whole thing where you have to create like a dozen slightly different variations based on the weathering that just drives me mad for me personally. Some people might say the wood is worse, right? Because like you have to do all the different varieties of wood. Now I do have my eternal hardcore world that I work on every once in a while. Currently, I have gathered enough cherry wood after like a year of on and off farming, and I have nearly a full double chest worth of those, all packed away. And I am begun laying down the outline of my tree. I'm doing this smart too. I'm slowly building out the outline of how it should look. And then I'm going to go there and do it. Okay, so I had to find something to get out of here. Currently, I've built the base. I have built the twist to the right, where it like kind of is going to twist on afterwards a little bit to like the right, and then back a little bit, and then it's going to twist inward while getting smaller. And I'm going to build each of the rings for each of the different diameter circles at the point where it becomes that circle. And then after that, I basically just got to build them like along the guideline of the curve I've planned out. And it's going to probably take like a year, or at least like several months of occasionally when I have some time this week, laying down maybe 1 or 2 layers. When it's done though, when the tree is done, I am probably gonna show off that Minecraft world. I'm actually, I have a few things planned for that, but I am gonna probably release it because I like showing off stuff. I do plan on adding a dragon statue. Actually, I plan on adding a lot of dragon statues. The tree island is supposed to serve as like a central area, and once that's done, I'm planning on adding like a lot of different dragon accoutrements and statues and shit to make it look better. So yeah, I'm excited about all that. I think it'll be fun. It's nice to have like a little side project that also isn't like that thought intensive. Minecraft for me is something I do to unwind a bit. It's something I do to just kind of, I need to just lay down a few blocks. Just lay down a few blocks, not think, put on some music, chill me with an audiobook in the background. It's a comfy unwinding game for me, and it's also an artistic exercise. So it's like 2 in 1, right? It's kind of like this mindless it's kind of like this mindless thing, but I also think about and kind of plan it out a bit slowly over time. So it's this weird pseudo comfy game that's also an artistic project, but that I don't have to think that much about, right? I like it. In other words, I like it. I think it has been somewhat good for my artistic process. No, I do not want to become a dog ninja. Minecraft thing I was thinking about in live chat. Yeah, it's a bit like that, except I'm gonna make it a bit more curvy. And I am gonna make the blossoms like the you know, the canopy very, very large. It's gonna basically be this like big thing in the middle of this cherry blossom valley. Very cool place, honestly, for my world. The cool thing is I already have an internal area, and you will be happy to know my internal area is colorful as all get out. God damn it, I am just dying like crazy. I took her over a year and extra help to finish. Yeah. I mean, mine's been a project that's been going on for like over a year. Like the floating island and the gathering wood has taken about a year just on its own. Actually, more than a year on its own. I started this part of the project back then. I started like a hardcore world that I would touch on every once in a while, like 2 years ago. It was a little bit after we stopped, around the same time we started doing the Minecraft game on our server, and when I realized that was probably going to peter out after a few weeks, or a few months. Oh, finally, a healing. Need that. Heal, heal, heal. Alright, got it. But yeah, this is definitely the kind of thing that's going to take me a while. And again, I am not like that good at that close to finish. I need to make that very clear. My build is currently in what might be considered the skeletal construction phase. I need to build the different layers of rings that I will be using. So, like, I'm using just circles, but I'm using different size circles to give it some, like, depth of shape, right? So, I'm currently just planning out how the curve of the tree goes and building out, like, these circles, the base circles for the different, like, sizes that'll be used. Oh my gosh, this weapon is great. Holy shit, I love this weapon. Yeah, I can definitely see that taking over a year. I might show you it, or pictures of it at least. It is in Bedrock, though, I will warn you guys. I was a Java player for most of my life. Fortunately, I had Minecraft Pocket Edition a long, long time ago. Can I just fireball? Oh, come on. Fire melt ice. The ruins on the far side are just barely visible. Boo. Fire should melt ice. New game plus, by the way, which is awesome because this means you can carry nunchuck on very hard, which returns on the highest with returns on the highest difficulty. Nunchucks are good. Boom. Gotcha. All right. But yeah. I like kind of like that. Up in flames. Oh, it's on fire. Oh no. Oh no. I can't imagine working on a project like that and then having it set on fire. That would like break me. That would actually, I think, break me. Okay, so I don't need to like, what do I need to do here? I need to, like, somehow light this up, right? Blasting furnace is visible through the wall. I'll come back here later. Don't know, but Ninja Guy and Black Master outfits with the nunchuck and lunar staff from the get-go. Ooh, interesting. Interesting. Very interesting. I love how I have to literally get health back from killing demons. Makes it feel so much more earned, having this health bar. Oh, thank God, they're not respawning. If they respawned, I would have some serious life questions to answer. I need to save, because I just got this key. Alright, we're gonna save. Oh, thank God, we got it. We got the save. We got the save. Alright, use the key. Use the key. Thank you very much. Sorry, I do have a bit of a cough. Need to add another lodgings. It's about time, though. Oh, we just saved. It's 9:30. I think we're about the time. I think this is about the time. So I think this is where we're going to head off for tonight. We've had a lot of fun talking about stuff. But yeah. I hope you guys have had fun today. Ninja Gaiden almost feels... it has such different menus and certain aspects to it. It's almost uncanny. I feel that way about some other remasters, yeah. Anyway, that's the video for tonight. I will see you guys all next time. Bye.